employee there, he didn't want to bring me on as a client.
It sends the message that, hey, you could be working.
So I kind of shy. Although it didn't really end there, because even though Don was the big cheese, and he did love the show, which is a high compliment, big cheese.
Yeah.
There were other agents there who worked in radio that actually did go out and try to get something going. It just
never happened.
It was the end of talk radio. I mean, how many talk radio shows really start now?
But we did make like a lot of marketing materials. I found all of those, but they were really I would have brought them, but they were really straight and boring.
No, that's not fun.
Which is probably why nobody ever did anything.
Yep.
But I don't know. So that's how I met Wombat, and that's how the CAGCast got
Remember when
started.
Electronics Boutique almost came on board as a sponsor for the whole?
We mailed that. I did find that email.
Yeah, we had a call with them with a super agent whose name I won't say at all, but he actually got on the phone with them, and it got pretty far. And then what happened there? The reason why that fell apart is because Electronic Boutique was bought by GameStop.
Right. We had a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, it really is. There was just bad breaks. Otherwise, not that this is so terrible.
Right. Yeah. I'm happy to go to any game show that's 20 minutes from my house. It's
Exactly.
like pretty fantastic.
Hang out with everybody. It could have been a lot worse.
But Ship, how did you find out? So Ship was a moderator on. Well, first, how did you find out about Cheap Ass Gamer?
I found out about Cheap Ass Gamer through GameFAQs. There was
Right.
you had people going on there.
It was me.
It was you.
Yeah, I would go on GameFAQs, and you couldn't go and promote your own website because they would just ban.
Were you Blue Toast?
No, but he was like part of
He
my-
was okay. You knew it.
Okay. But what you could do, and there's no problem with this, is you could put pretty much anything in your signature. So I would just say, oh, come visit Cheap Ass Gamer for cheap video game deals, and then I would just post a lot, so people would see the signature, and then, that's probably how Blue Toast found out about it, and
Sure.
then I'd probably said, hey, put it on the signature.
Yeah, this was like maybe 2 months after the site started. I
Yeah.
started frequenting it, telling Mrs. Shipwreck that I found this site called Cheap Ass Gamer, and she immediately asked if I gave them my credit card information.
Sadly, no.
Yeah, so that was good. So
No, it's really good. They have
right. Yeah, it's great.
Cheap
They
games.
show you how to flip all the games at all the
Right.
different stores.
Rygar's $5.
Right, back then they had all those
I remember the
clearance
Rygar
deals everywhere. Like people would be like Circuit City would be clearing everything out for $2.
Right.
And you print out the list, and you'd know if somebody was a CAG because they'd show up with that list.
Right.
And everybody would be grabbing all the $2 games that were not marked.
They knew.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You knew ahead of time.
Right.
I remember printing out that list. It was a
Good
good
list.
time.
So that's how you found out about CAG, and then how did you started your own podcast with your wife
We did.
on CAG?
Yes.
Called CAG Foreplay.
And that was just for new releases.
Right.
So I started writing up the new releases on CAG with Nick Sutner. He was writing up like all the games that people had heard about and like the serious games, and then I decided, hey, people want to know about all this crap too.
Right, you need to know everything.
You need to know everything that's coming out that week and what it is. So then we made a podcast about that. I made my wife do a podcast with me.
That was impressive. Give her a hand. She's up there.
She's sitting with Frogger.
Frogger. Give Frogger a hand.
Hey.
So you did that for like, how many episodes did you get?
Maybe somewhere up in the 50s,
Okay.
maybe more. We did it for quite a while. I just saw that it had been 10 years since we did it last.
Okay.
But you couldn't really do that podcast now because back then it was all physical releases.
And now there's 1,000
And now
games that come out every
there's
week.
like 200 games that come out every week, which back then it was you
We
could look
boring
up
you, Wombat,
everything.
over
A little. That's okay.
You want to see
I
what's
was bored.
going on in the
I was
tabletop?
bored during his part
I
too.
know, I'm trying
It's
to get
good.
everybody involved.
It's okay.
We can put the cartoon back on. Hold on.
Could you?
So, and why'd you stop doing that?
Kids.
So what's my excuse?
You want that other Harry's money.
That's true.
So, okay. So Ship had to shut down CAG Foreplay for the kids, but and then how did you get on the CAGcast?
I don't know. I went and saw the first Transformers movie.
I can answer that probably. So,
Oh, I think I remember too, actually. Go ahead.
The reason why this guy's on the show is because you weren't always available, but I still wanted to put the show up.
No,
So we did a couple of
that's
episodes.
not it
I don't
at
think
all.
that's right.
That's
We
not
did
it
a couple episodes just me and you.
No.
We did one.
Yeah. That's not it. You know what the real reason was?
At least 2.
No, but 2 out of 600. The real reason is that we realized Shipwreck knew a lot about games, and we really weren't dedicating ourselves to being up to date on everything that was going on.
I take that as a
And I think we saw Shipwreck as a guy, and he had legitimacy.
I know
too.
everything.
He had legitimacy as a game guy, and he smart guy, funny guy, made a lot of sense.
Smart guy.
Made it easier for us. Guy.
Yeah, he's a human being.
Guy.
Yes.
So yeah.
Access to Excel documents.
Yeah, it's good. It worked out well because he can do the new releases for us, and
Are we ready for that?
New
New releases.
We didn't do any new releases.
We don't have that list.
Oh, we didn't? Oh.
No. But
What am I going to talk about? I have no idea what came out this week.
no, we're
It's
not
all good.
doing
We're not
any
doing
of
that this week.
I know we had a couple of things that we want to talk about. Last night at dinner, Mrs. Cheapy had a question for us that I thought we could sort of address, like one of the more controversial CAG moments that people don't even know about because it never aired. So Mrs. Cheapy asked what was one of the most divisive episodes that we ever recorded, and I think she was sort of referring to, like, oh, I like this game a lot, and I hated this game, but...
That's pretty much every episode.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not really divisive.
It's not. It's people with different opinions.
But right, and it's never like we never get offended or anything. But we had one episode where, and Wamba didn't really remember what went down.
I don't.
So we started to talk about it last night, but then we tabled it so we could talk about it here. We had one really bad episode where we were recording it, and then Wombat and I got into a fight. And then he left the episode, and we never aired that. It was like 10 minutes or so. You don't remember like why it went down?
I kind of remember.
Do you remember what it was about? Even?
Was it about microphones?
Right.
Yeah.
Wombat had like a small technical problem with his microphone that I saw as the end of the world. Like it was like it sounded like 95% of what it should have sounded, but I don't know. It could really upset me somehow because I'm broken.
Because you're a jerk.
Right. I wouldn't spend 10 minutes putting together the outline for the show, but I feel like the production quality is something that we all had a lot of control. I don't know. It was stupid in my mind. But anyway, Wombat had a problem with the microphone, and I was trying to get him to fix it from week to week, and it wasn't really happening because he's got a job and kids, and he's a busy guy.
He didn't care.
And he didn't care also, which is fine, which is actually like a reasonable response to that situation because it wasn't a really big deal. But I saw it as a big deal, and in the beginning of the show, I made some comment that like you didn't care or something, and then we started yelling at each other, and then like you woke up your kids or something. I know I woke up Ty, yelling at, Ty came downstairs and we're yelling at each other, like, you woke up my kid. No, I woke up my kid yelling at you. And then you were just like, screw it, I'm out. And then he just walked out. And,
did we finish recording? I think we did.
We did.
We went through the rest of the show.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
That part, yeah. And I think I saved, yeah, right, it's good vibe in that show.
Good app.
I think I saved my side of the recording. But I certainly didn't have the guts to ask you for your side of the recording so I could put it together. But anyway, that was my bad, Wombat. I'm sorry about that. That was a little rough ride that you did not deserve for sure.
Apology accepted.
Yeah, even though that was like 5 years ago.
It was a while ago,
It was
yeah.
probably a
It
while
took
ago.
600 episodes.
Right. Well, we all grow, and that's how it is. So Wombat, also last night we were at dinner, Wombat said that he had a special question for me and Ship that he wouldn't tell us until...
No, so here's where I'm going, because this is a similar situation. I'm sure everyone here remembers CAGCast 200.
Oh yeah.
So
That's the one, Romeo and Juliet?
that is the episode where you, right after E3, where you decided that you and I, you couldn't confirm that you and I were actual friends in real life.
Well, it was
No.
more...
You were like ice cold clear about it. How do I know?
There better be a question coming.
How do I know that you're really my friend? Is what you said on that episode.
I don't
So
think
now
that's true.
I'm gonna ask you the question is, are you my friend?
I'm your friend, Wombat.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure.
It only took 400 more episodes before I could figure that out.
Figure it out, but are you actually my friend?
Now, you went the distance. It was all a test.
Is it like at the like in the Never-Ending Story?
Right.
No laser beams coming up.
You're the horse.
Yeah.
Well,
That sounds
I think, not that I want to like dredge up.
No, this is the
old
airing of
wounds, but
episode 600. The airing of grievances. I kind of like it.
Right. I think my point was.
Shipwreck, you suck too. All right, everyone's included.
My point was that we didn't hang out that much outside of doing a show. Oh, we scared our family away.
Goodbye.
They're going to their cosplay contest. Good luck. Good luck, Link. I bought that costume. You're not going to win. Sorry. You gotta make it yourself if you want to win. And I'm
Sabrina
not
made
making anything.
hers. She spent like a week and a half on it. So everyone cheer for her making her own costume.
Good effort. Good job having skill. Unlike me.
Yep. She learned how to sew.
Anyway, I think my point was that I didn't know you that well at the time because we didn't hang out that much. I moved to Japan.
You were living in another country.
We literally
but we
met.
spoke for 2 hours every week.
Well, sure, but
Some people get married on less than that.
look, I can see why you were offended. But I'm just trying to explain where I was coming from.
No, there's no place to come from on that one.
Now we do friend things together.
Friend thing.
And now we're friends. Mm-hmm. Okay. So do we want, let me look at the clock here. Do we want to talk about like some current events? Do we want to talk about, I had like some questions from, our normal listeners.
Yeah.
Over the internet, I mean.
Pointing to everyone here.
Right. But we'll probably take questions from the audience too. Do we want to talk about like some current events like Walmart and pulling games and marketing? Is that too heavy for everybody here?
No.
No, you want to hear about that? Okay. So, of course, with the recent shootings and stuff, now that our family left, this is really good timing.
Yeah. Now we can say whatever we want.
Right. Curse and everything. So Walmart started pulling down marketing for shooter games, basically, any games that they thought were violent. It was like a corporate directive. They still sell the guns, of course, but and some of the Walmarts actually cleared the games off the shelves and just left the sports games. I saw pictures of that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Some went the extra distance. It's insane.
It's pretty stupid, but yeah.
But they want to sell guns. They want to sell everything.
Well, they want to sell guns. I guess there's really, at the end of the day, what's the higher markup? I'm assuming there's probably more profit to be made on guns than video
Well,
games.
Shipwreck had a good point about Walmart sort of being.
They just want to stay out of the spotlight currently, and they do that by then getting these games advertisements out here. But come November, when all this is passed over,
Right.
it's going to be Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto all over the place in there.
You're going to be grenades going off in the store.
When you walk into a Walmart, at least in Ohio, I don't know what New York Walmarts are like,
Well,
but
listen.
New York Walmart.
yeah. So you walk in, and the first thing you see in those theft deterrent things
Right.
that beep at you are ads for video games on those, and they're usually Call of Duty or Far Cry or whatever the latest shooter is. Like you're seeing that first thing when you walk into Walmart. So I can see, like, as a company, the kind of the bad
Optics,
publicity,
like-
the optics of like, hey, that's the first thing you see in here.
Right.
And they're gonna put the games back out. They
Of course.
want to make money.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'd be surprised if this lasts longer than a month.
Right. And you also
like a month would be a long time. I think in
There's no games coming out now.
end of beginning of September, probably.
What's Borderlands?
By Borderlands.
By
Borderlands, you
Borderlands.
will walk into Walmart and see a Borderlands ad.
there'll be guns. There'll be video
Claptrap
game
is going to
guns.
be rolling up to you holding 4 guns, going, "Hey!"
Is he even in the game? Because didn't Randy Pitchford get into a fight with the voice
He
actor?
got in a fight with a voice actor, not Claptrap.
But so they just found some other guy.
Yeah, I think
I know that
they
it's
found
not a
some.
real-
Not the actual
I know
Claptrap.
there's no robot.
They got into a fight at medieval times.
So they just found some other guy to do a claptrap.
I'm sure somebody else stepped up. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So, but you made the point last night that Walmart is sort of in one of the unique positions that's really hard to boycott them, because a lot of their places they've knocked out all the other stores when they're like in the middle of the country, so they don't really have a lot of options at this point.
No, and it's a different clientele for whatever reason. Like I live a mile from a Walmart that's right across the street from a Target, And when you're shopping in both, it's a different clientele in both of them because you're there for different reasons.
Can you explain in detail?
As snobby as possible. As snobby as possible.
Sleeves
Hold your
versus
nose
no
up.
sleeves.
Butt crack versus no butt crack.
I shop in both.
Now, if I had
Do you
a,
change? Do you change your shirt?
Yeah.
Sleeves off?
Yeah. You get your outfit. Which store you're gonna go
if
to?
I had a mullet, where would you recommend that?
Is it an ironic mullet, or is that just your hairstyle?
That is just my hairstyle.
Oh, that's a Walmart. I can't lie, that's a Walmart.
No, I'm sorry, that's the dollar store.
The dollar-
Thanks for playing.
Dollar General. All right, so here's a couple of questions from people from home. Justin writes in and writes, I recall seeing The Last of Us 2 reveal gameplay and thinking, damn, that looks good enough to be next-gen graphics. Is it possible that we have already seen gameplay for next-gen consoles? If there's one thing that I can impart to everybody, when game companies are showing off their new games that aren't coming out for a year or so, that's not the game. That's something that they made separate just to show you. That's not like a slice of the game. It's something that they made specific for this event. Like for E3, the demo they have at E3, that's just for E3. That's not cut out of the game. So don't really think about those early reveals in any meaningful way because it's fake. Fake games. They're literally fake games. They're made just for marketing, and then that's it.
It gets cloudy because some of them are from the game, though. I mean, we've played plenty of... Yeah, for the playable stuff at E3, we played plenty of stuff where I played that same level again when I get the game.
Right.
Yeah, those levels usually wind up in the game, but I think what Cheapy's saying is they'll basically make a FMV of gameplay,
Well, it could be
but
playable.
it's running,
It'll be playable too.
running
But
through a
it's made just for
computer.
that.
It's not running through a console,
Right.
and it's like a whole separate...
It's not the game.
Yeah.
It's something standalone that they made just for that event. So always take that stuff with a grain of salt. Wombat, pay attention. This one's for you.
Oh, good. I like questions for me.
At SGN2020 says, does Wombat think Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 would be a better game if it had not been a Switch exclusive?
I finished Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 between the last show and this show, so I'm an expert now with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. The last level of that game is really bad. Like, it's weird how bad the last level is for a game that, for the most part, is all right. And then it sort of takes a turn at the end, because it's a Diablo-style game with your favorite Marvel characters. So your concept of the game and going through most of the game is you're walking down hallways and you're beating up lots of guys. And then after you beat up a whole bunch of guys, there's one guy you fight, and then you move on to the next level. Lots of guys. The last level is, because the full name of the game is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, who if you've seen Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, that's your Proxima Midnight and your Squidward and
Squidward?
yeah, that's what Iron Man calls him in the movie. It's those guys. It's the big guy who
Good
loses
guys.
an
They're
arm.
Cool guys.
Yeah, they're cool. That's the Black Order. But they don't show up in the game. They show up in the very first cutscene, and then like they get to the last level, and they were making the game. They're like, "Holy crap! We forgot that the Black Order's in this game." And you just fight them one after another, after the other, after the other, and then you fight Thanos. And then there's like a little twist, and there's one more boss fight, and then the game's over. But there's no like guides you fight in between. It literally goes from you fight Proxima Midnight, save point,
They ran out of money.
fight the next person, something. Like, it's like they forgot how the game was, that these characters were the game, and that's what they were gonna call the game, that they had to end the game, and it's just 6 boss fights in a row and credits. And it's so weird. Because it makes no sense in context with the rest of the game. It's not fun at all. Like, not even a little. And in the first 2 Marvel Ultimate Alliances, your characters leveled up with you a little bit, like the ones you don't use. They leveled up with you as you went on. So if your character was level 40, all the other characters would probably be like a level 30-ish. In this game, they don't level up at all as your other characters level up.
Everybody's useless.
Yeah, you do get these like power-ups that'll let you jump up XP points, but then you have to like decide right then and there, well, I'd really like to use Spider-Man now. I know he's only 12 and I need him to be a 40. I'm going to just put all of my XP that I've saved up into this one character. So now he's right where he needs to be. But then there's also, 27 other characters or however many are in this game that are useless. Like, I can't use any of the Guardians of the Galaxy at this point unless I want to literally start from the beginning with them and level them up.
Right. So to answer this guy's question,
To answer this yes or no question,
The answer to the hey, we've got an hour, and unless you've got something really important to talk about, it probably would have been better if it was multi-platform.
it would have had a bigger budget.
I think the budget might have been there. I don't know if it's that it's only on Nintendo that's the problem. I don't know if it's the developer that's a problem. I mean, not to be that guy, but maybe with more Western influence, it might have been better. I find for games that are based on more Western licenses, a Western influence sometimes is more beneficial because it is Tecmo, Koei, it just something seems to be missing. There's something missing there.
Quality.
There's a quality. There's a big disconnect
Money and quality.
between, yeah. So the short answer is yes. The game probably would have been better multi-platform. It is not nearly as good as it should be or could be. The first Marvel Ultimate Alliance is probably still the best of the three,
All right.
and that's a bummer.
There it is. Everybody loves. Wow.
Look at that.
You really like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Everybody. Wow. Here's another question from @Poofifer.
A Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer. Is that a video game person?
No, he asks lots of questions.
Oh, okay. I should know.
600 episodes. You
Oh,
should
is he
learn
here?
these names.
Right. He wants to know our favorite retro game, but he quantifies that as Xbox or PS2 or older. That's retro. Xbox and PS2 are retro now?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I would say that's.
Oh man, that's
Is
rough.
360 considered retro?
No, apparently not, according to this.
I
guy.
can't say Oblivion. That
Do you have
doesn't
any
count?
answer for this? I mean, I don't know.
I feel like we answer this
I was just
question
more
every
offended.
year.
I was just more offended that Xbox and PS2 are considered.
So,
retro
what's your
now.
favorite game from the Xbox PS2 era?
Probably Katamari. Katamari is pretty cool. I like those quirky PS2 Japanese games like Katamari, Parappa, those rhythm games. Those are my jams. Well, that's PS1, Parappa.
Yes.
They had one for PS2 as well.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Talk about the good one.
2.
Parappa the Rapper 2.
That's not as good. Do you guys have any favorites that stand out?
I bought a lot of consoles to play different versions of Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pretty much, because they staggered the releases of those. Like when Xbox came out, they got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2X, which was slight. They had like one more level or something.
Smart. Get that
right.
money.
So I went out and bought an Xbox for that.
Good. That's good.
And then like 2 weeks later or so, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 came out for PS3, or not PS3, PS2.
Yeah.
But it didn't come out for Xbox.
Right.
So then I had to go buy a PS2 so I
Right.
could play that.
You're very heavily invested in Tony Hawk.
I played a lot of Tony Hawk
Do you skateboard at all?
on Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Right. Never? Have you ever ever had a skateboarding thing?
Maybe for a few seconds.
Seconds. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my experience as well.
Yeah,
I stepped on it, I fell off. I said, nope.
I don't like to fall. Yeah,
Yeah.
like how do you learn not to fall?
I'm so high up too. I'm going a long way down. It's
Right,
not
Wombat. How do you learn not to fall on the skateboard?
Don't get on one.
good. Wow. A lot of anti-skateboard sentiment here. Wombat, do you have a favorite retro game and/or franchise?
I thought we were talking just from the Xbox PS2
Sure,
era.
whatever you
because we were
want.
having fun with that, I thought.
We're having fun.
This is a good time. I would say, because I was thinking about it while I was pretending to listen to Shipwreck. Possibly, I would say maybe Jade Empire on the Xbox. That's a good game that I feel like they kind of dropped the ball. BioWare dropped the ball, guys. I don't know if you knew this.
On everything.
On everything. But it was such a great game. I know it didn't sell really well, but it was such a cool concept. It had a really cool combat style. It was unlike any other RPG on the market, and they just did nothing with it. Like nothing. There's no remaster of it. There's no sequel. It just seems very strange because it was reviewed really well and it played really well. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but
And somehow I never even checked it out. Like it just
it's really cool. It had all the different types of different classes. I remember the pre-order bonus was the monk. So So I played as the monk, and you could run into, there was a British guy, like one British guy in the game, and he was voiced by John Cleese, and if you answered his riddle, he gave you the only gun in the game, and it was way overpowered, and it was pretty cool. So, Jade Empire, check it out.
Good answer. Should we take some questions? Can we take some questions from the crowd?
Please do.
Do you have a mic or something, or you just stand up, right?
I don't have.
That's all right.
I don't have a mic. No.
Just
that's okay.
shout.
You guys have any questions? Yeah. You guys have any questions? Yeah, go ahead, right here.
So I went to Japan just recently.
Okay.
And they came out with this 3D virtual reality arcade Merceria. And
Okay.
it was really fantastic. Do you guys plan to do any 3D stuff?
What do you mean, 3D stuff?
Like, 3D review of
Oh.
VR.
Virtual reality.
Oh, that was in an arcade?
It was an arcade that just opened up in Namco Arcade.
I mean, I have the PlayStation VR. Should probably get
Having it and using it are two different things.
I played Astro Boy. It was really good. You need to try it while you're here.
Okay.
Astro Boy, I mean, you're not gonna, because your kids are gonna be punching you in the nuts.
Right.
As soon as daddy can't see anything,
As soon as I
no
can't see it.
protection. Hey, look, daddy can't see or hear. Now's your time to work the body. Yeah, I'm not like super into VR, even though like I really like the concept and all. I just don't think it's quite there yet. I don't know. Was the Japanese arcade one like a step above? Like,
It was a step above.
yeah, okay.
It was
So I
really
haven't checked that out yet, but I can see like it getting to the point where it's so amazing and the quality is so good. It's really unavoidable that you're gonna want to try it out. But we're just not quite there yet, I think. Now it's still a bit of a gimmick, I feel. Any other questions? Right here.
Yeah. So since you're doing like heavy topics, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about the whole Ooblets and the Discord servers? Like what went down with there?
Sure. The question was about Ooblets is the name of the game, right?
Yeah,
So
Ooblets.
Ooblets going Epic Store exclusive, and then all these people who had no interest in the game from the very start were so mad that the game was going to Epic Store, they decided to harass the developers and just post, harass the developers.
Like nasty
Like
harassment,
death threats.
like
Death-
anti-Semitic.
all the bad stuff.
Yeah,
as
all
bad as you could go. Because these guys decided to release their game on the Epic Store, which actually funds indie game development. Unlike Steam, which just takes a cut of the game, Epic will, to small developers, they will basically guarantee money up front to the developers for going exclusive, and then the developers can use that money to make the game. So for a game like Ooblets or a small team like that, like it's a no-brainer.
Two-people team, yeah.
Two people, like what are you're gonna say no to somebody literally investing in your game and guaranteeing that you're not gonna lose money because there's a minimum sales guarantee? You would have to be a pretty bad business person to not do that deal. I understand the complaints that the Epic Store doesn't have the features that Steam does, but obviously they're striving to improve the store. They're trying to be a real competitor with Steam. I don't think the plan is, hey, let's just get a bunch of exclusives and have a shitty store. They want to have a real competitor, so they're gonna eventually probably have all the features that Steam would have. But people need to calm down with their video games. They gotta stop getting mad.
Why are you looking at me when you say
Because I heard you were responsible for a few of those death threats, especially the anti-Semitic ones.
Well, yeah, that's my MO, but that doesn't mean that I did it.
Yeah, that's
People are
really-
just mad.
Yeah,
Like,
they were.
constantly. They're just mad
they're
about
looking for something
everything.
to get mad about.
It seems like a silly. Again, I'm not a PC gamer, and by that I mean politically correct. That was a terrible joke. Was it? Oh, okay.
For you, it was good.
Oh, thanks. So I guess I don't get it. Like really looking from the outside in on this one, I don't understand it at all. So you want to play this game, but to download the launcher, which is free and doesn't cost you any more, and helps the people making the game you want, you're gonna get angry about that.
It's weird.
Okay.
It's weird. It's not something that's worth getting angry about, for sure.
I mean, it's not like microphone quality.
That hurts.
It should.
I apologize 6 years later.
Exactly, yes. It's all water under the bridge.
No, never threaten anybody. That's a good, pretty good motto to live by. Got any other questions out there? Okay, right here in front.
Sure. I've been listening to you guys for a really long time. I love your show. And since before you even had kids, that far back.
Far back.
Two things. One, I feel great. I'm really happy to listen to you talk about your kids and how you play games with the kids and how they interact with them. I think it's really rewarding for me as also as a father. Two, I've been watching a little more of, I think, Jim Sterling on YouTube talk about microtransactions, but more specifically the free-to-play stuff and how it can be very dangerous for people with gambling or addiction problems and things like that. How do you guys feel about that with your own kids? I know my kids will play some Fortnite. I've played a little bit of Dauntless, for example, another free-to-play that Epic runs. But how do you feel about that stuff when it comes to yourself and your own kids, as opposed to its effect on the larger gaming marketplace? As opposed to, you go out and buy the game, you got the game, as opposed to the open-ended kind of stuff.
So the question was, for the people listening at home, is basically, how do you monitor your kids when they're playing games that have sort of gambling mechanics in them? How do you deal with that? Well, I'll tell you, recently, Ty had a friend come over and from out of town, and the mom was beside herself because the kid is addicted to Fortnite, and she didn't understand why. It wasn't like, she saw what was happening in the game, she couldn't get it. And I had to explain to her, she knew about loot boxes, but I explained to her that there's also the random aspect in these battle royale games where you're dropped in and with nothing, and you're opening up crates to find weapons and armor. And I know I play a lot of those games, and it definitely does something to my brain. That randomness, like, oh, I could start off this game and have be fully kitted out and be awesome, or I could spend 2 minutes and not even have a gun. I think does the same exact thing in somebody's brain as like loot box mechanics. It's and when you combine that with the actual loot boxes, it's and like that adrenaline rush from the battle royale games. Like when I get down to like the top 3 or something, I get very sweaty. I don't get that in other games. I physically sweaty. My heartbeat goes up. I have the Apple Watch. I can see it. I don't think it's not a joke. It's really true. And I think that does something to kids. Same thing happens in kids, and they're not equipped for that. And to answer the question, you have to explain it to the kids. You say, hey, look, this is what happens in these games. And if the kid's old enough, you can have some understanding of it. But
my kids play. Sabrina likes to play a lot of Minecraft, which I'm okay with that because that's fairly low key.
It's Legos on a screen.
Yeah, it's Legos on a screen. She's really good at figuring hey, if you put this with this and this and this, it's a computer. I'm like, sure it is. Good job. So, and it's really impressive. And she makes full houses that are fully furnished and everything's made from scratch, and it is. I kind of like that. I like that for both of them. I think that Minecraft is actually pretty cool that way.
Totally.
Also, they don't buy anything extra in that. Everything that's in Minecraft vanilla is all they've ever asked for. On the flip side of that, they do also like Roblox. And Roblox is a hellish landscape of intellectual property theft that should be burned to the ground.
And it's free to play.
It is free to play.
Loaded with microtransactions.
It is loaded with microtransactions, and everything is in Robux. Most of it is not blind, although they do sell the blind box action figures. So that's similar to your Funko Minis, that kind of a thing.
Right. But it doesn't have loot boxes, right?
It doesn't have loot boxes in it. If you buy the blind box in the store with the action figure, there is a downloadable code for a hat. But that's what it is to buy. Nothing's blind. The Robux all go to buying specific items. They're basically past the wanting to buy stuff in Roblox phase, which is nice. But there was a time there where it was whatever birthday money they got, they're like, can we put this into Robux?
Right.
No, you can't. Can we please? And then it would be okay, here's $10 in Robux. That was kind of their limit.
Can Robux be my bank?
Yeah, exactly. And it's $10. And you can, and we also had to set the rules. Here's $10 in Robux. It's your favorite game, fine, I get it. We haven't spent any other money on it, and it's not our money anyway. Here's your $10 in Robux. But if you're going to spend the Robux, you have to come to us first. And we have to agree that this is what you're going to spend the Robux on. Yeah. And we're going to keep track on how much you have in Robux. So we'll know if you spend it. And if you spend it, we will delete the app. So they will come to us and sit down and be like, okay, I want to get, these angel wings, and not everything would be wearable in every game. Thank you. So it's like a whole thing. It's like, well, can you wear this in everything in Roblox? Or are you just wasting it for this one-time use thing? And it was like a whole thing. So in other words, yes, it sucks.
But no, but I feel like seriously though, the battle royale, there's something special that battle royale does to people's brains. It's just, I mean, look at Fortnite. It's a phenomenon. It's not, and all these battle royale games, you know, reach this real peak of popularity, like that's really sort of unheard of. It's because of this randomization, I'm telling you.
I think there's just that rush in general, because everyone wants to hear about Rainbow Six.
You get the rush from Rainbow Six, you get sweaty hands.
You get sweaty hands, you get so into it. I mean, I like posting my clips on Twitter, which, you know what, even that's part of it now, though, too. If I get something that would make a good clip, I get super excited. I'm like, I'm saving that, record that button, hitting that Y button as fast as I can. And also when you win a match, then you get a spin of the wheel. And if you spin the wheel and win, then you can get a chance to get the blind bag.
The most obnoxious implementation.
It is pretty
of the box
obnoxious.
in the game, pretty much.
And then when you get it, you feel like you just won everything.
It made me feel bad when I would see that. It would actually tell you, if you win a match, it would tell you your percentage chance of winning a loot box. And it was like 3%.
Yeah, I was at 33% this morning, and I'm like, okay, if I win one round, there's a really good chance I'm going to get something.
It goes up like 1% every time you lose.
It's like
something?
2 or 3%.
Yeah, something horrible.
So I did it this morning, and yes, and I did. I went around, I won the blind bag. And you would think that it was Christmas to get a skin on 3 pistols. I'm like, yeah, this is the best thing I've ever done. So
Sounds like you're part of the problem.
I am 100% part of the problem. But I guess maybe that's the key to it in a sort of a weird way, is if it's going to be a problem, maybe you need to kind of narrow your scope. Like if it's going to be my problem, then it's my problem in Rainbow Six. And I've already spent the maximum I'm going to spend in that game. So at least I'm not spending any more money. And if this is the rush I want to get,
That's a game you buy, though.
Yeah.
That's a game, like, there's a...
But I'm not
finite-
paying for those blind bags.
Right, but I, like, so my kids are both still younger than school age. My daughter's getting ready to start kindergarten. So I've been able to, like, shield what games she plays. They're all, I mean, the Paw Patrol game, we play Kingdom Hearts, Mario. But as soon as she goes to school, and these free-to-play games are what all the kids are playing because their parents aren't going out and buying them $60 games. That's like how they get everybody into these things, is because the parents will buy the console and then the kids find the free-to-play games and then they tell their kids about, or tell their friends about them.
Right.
And then you're stuck in this.
Roblox.
Right, you're stuck in Roblox, you're stuck in Fortnite.
It's also just to play with their friends. I mean, it's for my son.
Because they're not gonna, not everybody buys the game.
Yeah.
It's the free game.
Yeah.
Which makes it really difficult. I'm not looking forward to that. I do not like the
know.
free game mechanic.
No.
Yeah. But
Good luck.
yeah, I know. Good luck.
Any other questions? Right here.
What dormant franchise would you guys like to come back? Anything, let's say dormant for 10 years.
Okay, what dormant franchise that's been
Jade
dormant for
Empire.
10 years?
Tony Hawk. Oh no, they made a crappy one. Dang it! I almost got through that one.
Just say Jade Empire.
I never even played that.
Robot Alchemic Drive for PS2.
That's cool.
That was a good PS2 game. Remember that one?
I do.
Giant
I did
robots,
play
like,
that.
little
I did
control.
play
That was pretty awesome. It was a little janky, but it was pretty good.
War of the Monsters would be a good one too.
Sure.
Too human.
The thing that you said, like free-to-play games spreading like that, I think it's like the same thing with like how Pokemon was so popular in the 90s, and I feel like with the free-to-play games, like it's so open, so like all these little kids are gonna be talking about it, they're gonna be playing it on their phone, and then
Oh,
when
yeah.
they get back home, they're gonna be playing it on their console.
Free to play is definitely attractive to young children and their parents because the parents don't have to do anything until the kid starts pestering them for all the tchotchkes. But yeah, free to play seems to do well for a lot of these companies. Let's go right here.
In the last few years, we've seen the transition of what E3 has changed into and publishers backing out, not showing up. With the ESA's data breach, was this a last E3? Or
That's a
is
good
this
question.
like the one of the last E3s? And what does it transition to? I know we have directs,
Sure.
but what does it transition to for the big
Yep.
companies?
So the question is basically, what's the future of E3 since they've basically been dropping the ball lately with pretty much everything and
I think
leaking
yeah.
everybody's data.
I think the big question is, who is E3 for?
E3 is for the ESA to make money, I think. And
Is that really it?
Yeah.
At this point, but was that what E3 was for 10 years
maybe
ago?
not. So I think what's gonna happen is that they're going to outsource this to probably the same company that does PAX, because these companies are positioned to run a show properly, probably not leak your data, probably, they've opened it up to the public the last couple of years, and I think they still haven't really nailed that. I don't think the people.
It's like someone there went to San Diego Comic-Con and was like, we need to do this.
Right,
And-
but not how, they don't know how.
But they don't know how.
And they don't know really what to offer the public who are coming and paying a lot of money,
And-
other than standing in a line for 4 hours.
And does there still need to be an E3 that was like the E3 of yesteryear, where it was really more about press and retailers to show off their new products that might be a little more boring but more functional?
Well, it's a very controlled message. That's the important part of it for the publishers. It's not. They have a specific message that they want to get out there at E3.
And they want to track all the data from people who are seeing the message. So that's why EA is now off-site, and they do their own thing, and you wear a bracelet, and they track your movement through the thing. Every game you play, they know who you are, and it's cheaper for them, and they control more. So I really think that it's going to be a Reed Pop. What's the company, Reed, that does the? Yeah, Reed Pop.
Exhibition.
It just makes sense, I think.
They could ask Ryan to do it.
We got a question in the back there.
Yeah, so my question started with the loot box, but it
Yep.
came to my head. So what do you guys think of, or what are your thoughts on Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft now coming together on a lot of things for like loot box odds, Sony and Microsoft coming together for technology, Nintendo and Microsoft coming together for Smash Brothers
Okay.
versus maybe like Google?
Gotcha. So the question is basically the big three, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, seem to be working a lot closer together than they ever had in recent memory. And why? I guess the question is why?
So what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts about it? They're trying to lock down their spots, I think, and they certainly all share common goals that they can work towards, whether it's standing up for video games against political pressure, or certain techno. You see like Microsoft and Microsoft and Nintendo sort of teaming up against Sony in a few different things because they're the losers.
Yep.
sort
Yeah,
of.
that's how it goes every time.
Yeah, I mean losers, as in Sony sold 100 million.
I'd
PlayStation
be
4s.
very happy to have the second best-selling console in the world. Like
Yes,
I'd be so very cool with that.
Loser. I'd like to be a loser like that.
I'll
Jeff,
take
sure.
that check.
Yes, I would like to sell 80 million of something and
Yeah.
whatever, 60 million.
And it also helps that each one of these different companies does something probably better than all of the other companies do, and has a technology that the other companies don't have, where they can sort of leverage that. And because Microsoft still wants to make money, and if making money means they sell their product to Nintendo,
Right. Every decision is because they think they can make,
make more money,
So
yeah.
they're working together because they think they can make more money, basically.
yeah,
It's not, unfortunately,
it has nothing to do with us.
Got you over here.
Oh yeah, so Michael Pachter talked about some kind of thing about GameStop being able to make it to the next console cycle and then maybe surviving.
Okay.
But the chances of that right now look really slim, and it's not to dump on GameStop. It's
Right.
just, do you even think they'll have a chance to make it to next gen?
No.
Well, the question is whether GameStop will make it to next gen. Well, next gen is next year, right?
Yeah.
They'll make it a next gen because they're going to make money there when they do that. It will propel them for
Right.
a couple years.
There'll be a lot of cash coming in.
Yeah, I mean there's going to be so many ads for these new consoles and everything, and I mean even though GameStop is failing, there's still a lot of people that shop at GameStop for games and consoles. Like a lot of parents know that that's where you go to get consoles. They don't go to Target or Walmart. They go to GameStop. They try to do the trade-in stuff to get the console cheaper.
Right.
So yeah, I think this is their last big hurrah.
Right, but they'll be here for this. They'll be here for, there'll be a private equity firm that
After that,
buys them up.
they must come up with something totally different to survive after that.
Wombat predicted it, I think.
Oh, the
remember what
fun
happened?
stuff? Yeah. So I had, what was it? GameStop tweeted out something this week, something about their place being fun. What should our place is fun, what should we call it? And I said, well, why don't you just change your name to Fun Stop? And they replied back to me saying, we legitimately love this idea, and then immediately deleted the tweet.
So if you see part of their rebranding, they're becoming Fun Stop, this man called it. Or you gave him the idea.
I gave them the idea and they owe me something. I would settle for like the next gen console in the mail. That would work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty funny.
That's pretty awesome. Who didn't we hear from? Over here, CJ.
Hey, so I'm here for my brother's bachelor party weekend.
Hey.
A unique gift for him. I wanted to find out, are there any more E3 pizza cutters left? And if so, what do I have to do to get one?
Okay, let me tell you what happened with the E3 pizza cutters. First of all,
and they're called E3 cutters?
First of all, Thorban, who runs at Video Game Deals Twitter account for me, hated the idea from the very start. He was totally against the idea. He thought it was just the most moronic, stupidest thing, and basically told me that to my face. Then turned out he was right. I gave away actually more pizza cutters than I have. So not only do I not have any left, I don't have one for myself, and I gave away 5 more than I actually had. So I had to actually go out and buy Sonic the Hedgehog pizza cutters or offer them a $25 Amazon gift card. So the $5 pizza cutter cost me a lot more.
Well, it's because you left them in your hotel room in E3.
No. I just gave them away. No, I didn't leave any.
Oh, I thought we decided that we thought Thorban took them.
I took everything.
Oh, you
everything
did?
came
You
home.
did.
It's just,
okay.
I don't know. I'm not great at math.
I would have let you, the one that I have, I would have let you give to
No, I had
someone.
5 that I went over by 5.
I'm just saying, then you would have only been over by 4. I would have been happy to,
I had to solve the problem.
I would have been happy to fall on that
You're
pizza
nice,
cutter.
You're a nice guy. Here.
Hey, with the last win in Fortnite, some kid winning $3 million,
Right.
what do you guys think about the future of esports?
I mean, it's an interesting career because you peak out like at 18, probably, right? Like you're pretty much over the hill. I was sore. I don't really care for Fortnite, but I was interested to check it. I didn't go to check it
Oh,
out.
I thought watching it was really engaging.
I didn't even watch it.
I
You
really
liked
liked
it?
watching it. I did. There's something about it. Fortnite itself, which I think is very unique, the building aspect of it, because it does have that dual,
Right.
skill set where it's not just the mad shooting. It's
A little
also
creativity.
There's the creativity to see what these people build and how they still win is actually, I thought, was very interesting to watch. And I think for esports, that's probably one of the big keys right there. If something's interesting to watch, people are going to watch it. ABC has had a hit all summer with mini golf because they made mini golf interesting to watch.
How do you do that? How? I'm asking how.
I've
never heard of this.
I forget the other guy's name, but one guy, Rob Riggle, is one of the hosts. And
Steph Curry.
Yeah, and
But,
Steph
like,
Curry.
is there,
There's
like-
another guy too. So, yeah,
Do
there's.
they electrify the greens or something? Or like,
Imagine the energy from Wipeout with mini golf.
oh, okay, so stuff is happening.
Stuff is happening while they're playing, but they made mini golf interesting and a hit.
Like you're putting and like a football player comes out.
And tackles.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So if that can be done, I think esports, I think, again, that's the key though, is to make it, because I've tried to watch esports, I tried to watch Overwatch, not to crap on Overwatch, because I know how you feel about it, but I don't think that
I'm over it.
I never found it that interesting visually from an outsider standpoint.
Yeah, I
to
agree.
watch people play Overwatch.
It just
I
looks
think-
like a mess of characters.
it does. It's like,
bullets.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who
Right.
any of these people are. It's not that exciting. As opposed to something like even a PUBG, where when that first hit, that 1 versus 100, you're alone with nothing, and watching you do that was interesting. So I think that's the key, as with anything. As
So
with
even
any,
watching me play was
yeah,
interesting?
and watching you
Wow.
play was fun and interesting. Yes.
Far from an e-sport as it gets.
But it's that same concept of anything can be successful if you make it an interesting production for the viewer. And I think that's sort of the key.
If the prize pool is big enough.
Yeah, that adds to it, the excitement.
Yeah.
Got a question right over here?
Hi, yeah.
Hi.
So first, I'd like to thank you guys for 600 episodes.
Thanks for listening. Thank you.
So there's lots of classic moments and hilarious stories and great things that have happened. So hearing you guys all these years has been pretty awesome. So is there ever going to be another clip show?
Wow.
That's a good question.
That was a long. I think we only did one, and that was episode 100.
I'm waiting for another one for the 100th
The
anniversary.
best chance of getting a clip show. I don't like listening to myself. Like even just producing the show.
I don't like listening to you.
Yeah, sure. It's a common thought amongst everybody. But so I think the best chance is like if I don't know, people submit like the clip. I don't want to go look for clips. If people tell me like what clips they want, we could probably put it together, or Shatafan could put it together. It could happen.
Crowdsource.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of
That's
crowdsourcing.
basically the way it would happen.
Right. Yeah, maybe episode 1,000. That'd be a good, nice round number.
A nice round 1,000.
We have time for like
My
one more
brain
question.
in a jar doing podcasts.
Not really a question,
Okay.
but I've been listening to you guys for about 5 years now. I just want to thank you guys for getting me through some really hard times.
Oh,
lots of car rides, lots of listening before bed. Not so creepy, so
All
just
right.
don't.
Well, we'll help put you to sleep.
But yeah, I'm glad I was able to finally meet you guys in person, and I brought some gifts for all three of you.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What would you do if you didn't have CAGCast?
Ooh.
I would just watch TV like I do every other night. It's basically, I mean, we've got it down. We meet one night a week. We do it over Skype. It takes less than 2 hours to record the whole thing. And then the next morning, I edit it, produce it, and it takes me less than 2 hours to do that. So it's not like a big time suck at this point. I mean, after you do 600 of them, you got the workflow down.
But who would you text with between shows?
That's the thing.
Yeah, like who would you who would you have like 90% of your conversations with?
We do talk a lot about
Who
video
would your
games.
wife yell at you about talking more than your significant other?
I talk to my wife about video games.
Yeah,
She likes to hear it.
Yeah, mine doesn't.
I'm sorry.
Thinking of classic moments on the CAGCast.
Yeah.
I was happening to use this stall over here in the bathroom.
Okay.
Right over here.
Yeah.
Before the show, and as I was going, I looked up, and there was a coat hanger hanging in the stall.
Right. Oh.
So
I think somebody just changed their clothes.
you don't think somebody was
I
just
think that's
Had a big poop?
CBD influence. Like in case of emergency, pull hanger.
I will autograph any poop cutting hangers that you have. No problem. I will. If they're clean, they have to be clean.
Pre-used.
Time for one more? One more question? Okay, right up here.
When is Shipwreck going to play Rainbow Six Siege?
Yeah.
Never!
I mean, you own the game.
I do own the
You
game.
own the game.
Every description of it makes me question the $1.24 I spent on it.
It's the closest thing to G.I. Joe in a video game.
Oh.
But then you described the actual game to me. And it's everything I hate.
It's good because I like it's slowly paced, which I think actually you're gonna like. There's no jumping around like a crazy person.
He doesn't like
Fortnite.
when you have to start somewhere and walk to get to where the action
You don't really have to do that
A little
either.
walking.
The maps are pretty small.
Okay.
I'll play one round with you.
That sounds like sounds
Okay.
exciting. We'll stream
One
it
round.
too.
Did it. All right, last one. Go fast. Go.
Sorry. Who influences the intro song to the podcast?
Me.
That guy.
I love your choice of music.
Thank you.
Love
You're a
it.
terrible person.
Sometimes there's a hidden message in there. I don't know if you guys have picked up on it, but there's the title of the song will have something to do with what we talked about in the episode.
I want that playlist.
Yeah, there's like
Spotify.
there's like a 1/8 playlist that I put together. Well, I think we're about out of time, but I want to thank everybody for coming. It was really a great way to celebrate 600 episodes. Thank you all for listening. It's really great. Thanks for coming. I mean, it's really great. Thanks.
Time, dude.
Finger